Now we begin the precious time that we have to discuss what we heard about Devarim this morning, and it's not an easy thing to write a message, one that you want to touch the hearts of the people who are listening. But when I read the words, the words of the Torah, they just jump out of the page at me. Someone asked me, how do you choose the topics that you're going to speak on? And I said, well, I just read the Torah. Everything is here. It's absolutely amazing. The whole world is drowning in religions, philosophies, ideologies that have been with us from the beginning. They've just taken on different faces. But it's always been a remnant, a very small amount of people. I mean, when you read some of the prophets, it was one man who stood against the majority of the people, and we're facing that again today. We don't need to get involved in fighting about politics and fighting about different religions, and my religion's better than yours, this politician's better, this guy is destroying. Nobody can destroy anything except that God allows it. God is the one who's in full control, and he's at the root of everything that's going on in this world right now. So when we become afraid, let's just remember some of these principles and remind each other, because let me tell you, when we're going through the moments where we're in the one step backwards, we feel, oh my God, everything is wrong. We're going back to the beginning. Why my life is falling apart again? Oh, what if I go through all this again? But we don't, because it's 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 2 steps forward. So we always end up at a higher level when we're walking with God, when we're listening to his words. And that's why it's so important to read the Torah every single week. Take the time. These words are living, they're alive. I enjoy so much when we meet on the Tuesday night and we go through each word. There's so much that each time we go through it again. I'm always amazed. How many times did you say, Miriam? I know we read that before, but I don't remember reading that. It's just an amazing thing. So I just love these messages.
Yeah, thank you for that message, Peggy. It's all justice. The whole message is, about justice, God's justice. And that's what you're saying, like when we read it, we read the Torah over and over again. And it's not that the words are the same, but our life changes and our walk with God changes. And it's such a living book that maybe there was parts of us that weren't ready yet, or didn't experience a certain thing that and it's a growing thing. That's why we could read it a million times.
Exactly.
But it's hard, when you're going through a hard time. Like, imagine them in the Israelites in so many different situations before the Red Sea, and when the Pharaoh's troops when they were coming after them. It's scary because they had more weapons. They had all these chariots, etc. And it's hard. And when you look at that in your own life when you're going through a really, really hard time. I think it's important to realize during those times, and during maybe most of our life, it sounds like a cliche now. It's not a feeling. It's not a feeling. It's not primarily a feeling. It's a truth. It doesn't mean that there isn't joy attached to it. I don't want to go to the other extreme. Some groups of people look like they're unhappy all the time. Religious groups. It's not dour. Is that the word? That it's not that either. There is joy in walking with God.
Yes.
But it's not
and
always.
It's not all just following processes. You have to understand that God's spirit is in you and he helps.
Yeah. So I'm saying it's not that you're always. It's like when you're married, or even if you have a pet dog, that you love, but sometimes the dog is going to annoy you, and maybe you're tired and you wish you didn't have a dog. But
Right.
it has nothing to do with not only loyalty, but even your love for that. It's the same with our walk with God. Sometimes it's very hard for me um, to feel God's presence. Like, what does that mean, God's presence? And it's not about letting go because you're not feeling God's presence or whatever. We have to persist and look at what is the truth, what is God's truth. It's such an important principle in
Yeah,
everything in life.
exactly.
Mhm.
Yes, Richard, you want to say something?
Yeah, first I'll start with some humor if I can.
Okay.
Um, you, in your drash, Peggy, you talked about algebra. Okay. My favorite algebra problem was if Tom can mow a lawn in 1 hour and Tom can mow the same lawn in 3 hours, solve for, let me start over again. If Tom can mow a lawn in 3 hours and Dick can mow the same lawn in 3 hours, solve for what's wrong with Dick.
Wait a minute. You said both of them 3 hours. Do you
No,
mean
no, no, no. The first is okay. The first Tom can mow a
Milan in
lawn.
1 hour?
Okay, okay, and Dick can mow the same lawn in 3 hours.
Right.
Solve for what's wrong with Dick.
Okay.
Okay, okay, fine, all right. It's a
Yeah.
hard. Okay, so
Get too much beer to drink?
what?
Yeah, too much beer to drink?
I haven't had beer since 2019. I'm sober. All right.
No, not you.
I'm talking
We're
about
talking
I'm
about the
talking about Dick. Did he
Dick.
it took him
Okay,
three
it's
hours?
a joke. It's a joke. I mean,
Okay.
for Alex. Okay, it's a word problem joke.
Okay, so
Okay.
that was mine. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Okay. So on this parsha also talks about um calling some places that the Israelites traversed, and it reminds them of certain instances expressed in geography. And my former rabbi called that geographic architects. Oh, excuse me. He called them geographic archetypes, okay? Because sometimes when you mention certain geographic places, it brings up some sensations and some memories, even though the listener was not there. Here in the United States, if you mention Selma
Right. Right away you know.
or Montgomery, Alabama,
Right.
okay, okay, it brings up certain memories of the civil rights movement, even for youngsters who weren't alive at that time, and even for people who didn't live there.
Right. Like when you mentioned 9/11, everybody knows.
Yeah, right. Okay, I'm going to silence.
You went on mute. You put yourself on mute, Richard. I can't hear you.
I silenced myself on purpose.
Oh, you were coughing. Okay. Did you finish what you wanted to say?
Yes, I muted myself on purpose because I was finished.
But
Oh,
Richard, I'm not sure. I'm not good at getting jokes or anything, but whatever. I didn't understand the person who took 3 hours and the other person
okay.
1 hour.
Okay,
Did you finish it?
here's the way that the algebra problem works. Here's the way that the standard word problem works. Okay, if Tom can mow Hamalan in 1 hour and Dick can mow the same lawn in 3 hours, how long would it take for both of them to mow the lawn at the same time? Okay, so that's the standard algebra um, word problem.
Right,
Okay,
right.
so I will now mute myself.
Yeah, but what's
Okay,
the answer?
I'll figure it out for you now. Okay, I will mute myself and I will put the answer in the text. Okay,
Okay, all right. In a chat. Okay. I guess together A plus B equals C. I don't know. I don't know what the joke is. I'm sorry. Ah, anyway.
Are we gonna get the answer? You said,
Yeah, he's gonna text it. He'll text it. So let me see if we get a text coming along here. Anyway, we'll wait and see. Does anybody else have something to add about, even if you don't put your picture on, do you have an opinion about what you heard of this message? Does it relate to you in any way? Even those who are listening afterwards, to the recording of this. My hope, this morning I spoke to a cousin of mine who's going through a hard time. I spoke to her a year ago when she lost her husband, who was actually my cousin. And they were married 62 years, and they were loves of each other's life. She's a twin. She married a twin. She and her twin got married together, and now she's, um, she's her husband passed away, and she's had to give up her house, and she didn't have to, but we decided together that that would be the best thing for her to do. And now she's moving into today. When I called her to see how she is, her whole family is there, and they're moving her into a residence. And she's really, you know, it's hard for her. It's another stage in her life. And I was, trying to help her to see, is the glass half full or half empty? She's not with this love of her life, and there's no words that are going to be able to soothe the pain of what losing someone that you've loved so much. And for me personally, I don't have that in my own life. So, and it's also not in my character, because I live more in the present and the future than I've ever have lived in the past. But you know, we can look back at the past, and from what I see, he's still with her in every step of the way. Every time you think of something that happened with this person, it's if he's still there. And 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 obviously God didn't take us, he still has a plan for our lives. And that's what we need to look at. What does God want from us today? And when Miriam and I were walking yesterday, we took a walk before Shabbat, and I was telling her what I was thinking about when Abraham was negotiating for Sodom and Gomorrah, and how it would have just taken one righteous person to have saved Sodom and Gomorrah, and God could not find one righteous person. So if that is the formula, then what we need to do is work on our righteousness. We need to do what what Isaiah tells us to do, those things. We're not going to be perfect, but God knows our hearts. So maybe those of us who are righteous, walking and living in this city, maybe God will look down and say, you know what? There are righteous people in this city. I'm not going to destroy Montreal or wherever we live. We are the Superman type heroes in our time, in our cities, in this day. Now, that's not something that we about boasting, but it's something that maybe we can look at and say, wow, we do have a role. We can bring, life and laughter and happiness to those who don't have that right now in our own lives, by helping someone who can't help to take care of themselves, helping the widow, the orphan, those who cannot speak out for others. And God, I think that We are the hope for our families, for all those who don't know God. God has chosen us to be the hope. And that's our role in this life, in this world. He talks about how, Moses chose leaders to judge over thousands, like the mayor of our city would be considered a leader over thousands. And then there's those who would have a little borough, in Côte Saint Luc or Hampstead, and they are the ones who will judge over that amount of people. And you and I, we have been given maybe 10 people to take care of, maybe 2 people, maybe 1 person. But it doesn't matter how many. It matters that we say, yes, God, let me do whatever I can to take care of someone else. And in taking care of others, we can be guaranteed that just what the Torah teaches, midah keneged midah, measure for measure, we will receive what we give. We will receive measure for measure. And we all have a different way of doing that. It looks different, but that's our role during our time on this earth. And there are times that we'll fail, but we can get up, stand up, and begin again. And it's absolutely a joy to know that. So does anybody else, if we have nothing else to say, is there anybody else has something to add? Otherwise, we can say Shabbat Shalom. We continue to pray for each other. I'm personally still looking for a solution for certain health problems, which I'm on my way to helping. Maybe none of us will ever be perfectly healthy, just like we cannot be perfect individuals. We have a lot to fight over in this life. We pray for Sarai in southern Texas, that she will find work, that she will find a way of living her life as best she can. We pray for Isabel, that she will continue
Amen.
to be a light in her own family, in her work, wherever we go. Same with you, Rhonda. For your children, that you will be a light to your children, and that we can help when we find solutions to any kind of problem, that we can share them. To Atid, Miriam, Baruch, may you be a light right there in the hospital. And the Alvarados, thank you so much for your participation every week. We are blessed to still be here. This September, Rabbi will have been gone since 2020. And so, but I look at it as his Hebrew date. He'll be gone now in the Hebrew year, 6 years, because he died in 5780, and now we're going into 5785, 86. We're now 5786. So I wish you all a Shabbat Shalom. Walk with peace, with love, with trust. And the most important thing is do not.
What was the year he gone?
5780. That's the Hebrew year. And we're going into 5786. I'll be getting new calendars in August.
Yeah.
So I wish you all a wonderful day.
And then-
Let us be a light to everyone we come in contact with. And especially let us be a light to ourselves.
Shabbat shalom.
Oh, wait,
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat
wait,
shalom.
what's that from,
Shalom.
what's that from Richard?
Okay.
The answer is the word,
The answer is the problem.
15 minutes.
15 minutes.
Well, we'll have to figure that out.
Well, maybe you can help us figure out how 15 minutes is. What do? You divide, because one was 3 hours, one was 1 hour. You divide.
So,
3
oh yeah,
hours
let me
into
think if
15
he took
into
3,
I don't know.
I'd have to figure it out.
Okay,
You're gonna find in your computers a calculator thing, and there's a
It says
thing to
email
figure out
him
the
for
hours.
the answer. So if you look in the texts, everybody, it's Richard.L.Boris BORYS @gmail.com, and Boris is BORYS. Richard.L.BORYS
Why?
@gmail.com, and he'll give you the answers. Shabbat shalom, everybody.
Shabbat
Shabbat
shalom.
shalom.
Thank you.
Shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.